So in today's episode of Cultures Unpacked, we're unpacking Canadian culture. So Canada, this huge country in the north of America, it holds lots of cultures in it, as well as lots of language diversity, and as well as lots of qualities. Okay, and we're gonna discuss 3 lessons that I've learned about languages, I've learned about cultures, and I've learned about life, and I will share it with you today on this episode of Cultures Unpacked. See this as time together, so I'm very glad and thank you for coming on together. This is really a passion project of mine. Welcome, my name is Katharina, Multilingual Cat. What is your name? Where are you from? And where is your home? Canada, okay. Canada, let's talk about it. So I went there in January 2023. That was way back, okay. And I went there to represent Italy in a Canadian badminton tournament. Canada represents great badminton athletes, okay? So man double Canadians. There's a pair that is Canadian Chinese and Canadian Japanese, and they are up there in the ranks and up there in the level, as well as Canadian women's singles. 3 women's singles that are in the top 60s of the world, and one that is in the top 15 of the world. It is also Canadian Chinese, and going to Canada. Oh, okay. Lesson number 1 is that it doesn't matter about the culture where you were born. You can still build something great from the knowledge of your own culture plus the opportunities that are there in the culture you are in right now. So when we went to Canada, badminton is a thing there. You can definitely look up on Google. You can look up badminton courts to rent, and you will get immediately standpoints where you can potentially be training, or you could and not just training for hobby reasons, but also training for world-class reasons. And so we then rented a car. I would say 5 people could fit in a car. It was freezing cold outside, all right, and we were all Italians, and we had 1 car and 1 Uber. So that would be how we would share 2 cars within around 9 people. And so we trained there, and there was a whole established hall with like 12 courts and a whole system to rent the courts, and people were training there, multi-shuttles, amateurs, beginners to advanced. It was a really great opportunity. And while we were leaving, we were seeing these photos of this singles player when she was still younger there, and about the coach that she was featuring her, and about her appearance at the Olympics. And so this was very inspiring to see that this athlete player was made in this hall, and that it was possible, right? And it is possible, right? And so Canada for me was a great trip to see, a great journey to see voyage, to see what is possible, right? Because it was so cold, but at the same time, this whole city was established right at the, at the sea. We were in the heart of Toronto. Actually, we were stationed in a little outside of this little city that is known to have and hold the badminton hall, which is starting with an M. Yeah. And then Toronto was just a 30-minute Uber drive away. And so lesson number 2 was then going into this. And before we go into lesson number 2, I'm very excited to share that we're sharing these Cultures Unpacked every day together on the sunrise. I'm very glad. And this is the live stream. And so Thank you for being on, and I want to invite you for the last days of 2025. We are actively working on making your language basics fluent, so that before 2025 you go in with being able to start, hold, and end conversations comfortably on your terms, and where you can control them, and we will learn all of this inside together as the mindsets that what it needs to be the multilingual and be the polyglot and the confident speaker. And this is inside of the Multilingual premium chat. You can get access for free for 5 days. Okay, it's on the house for the Multilingual premium chat. All you gotta do is sign up, and the link is down below. Good. All right, before we go into lesson 2, I really want to take a sip of water. So I will let you guys with a little sunrise, and I will check if everything is on video. Beautiful. Beautifulibus. Yeah, so while I am looking at the sun with the red light, it appears that this red light is truly red. And so if I would take the camera with me on the wall, there's a literal red illumination from the sun. And now I am looking into the sun and I'm feeling like it has this warming effect, just like I used to feel in this red light saunas. Very warming effect, but also it makes you warm from the inside. So this is a very cool thing to have. Definitely. Okay. In 30 seconds we'll be live again. Okay, they will be live again in 3, 2. Ah, beautiful. So I got to look into this patch on the wall that was illuminated by the sun, and it was very red. And so I was going to it, and it was a very soothing and calming sun to look into. Okay, so we were talking about lesson 2. So going to Toronto together with the squad, we went to a basketball game. Their basketball is huge. They have this huge arena, and there was one American team going against the Canadian team, the Toronto team, and it was a home game. And it was a cool experience to watch. We were all the way up there and seeing all the stadium as well as hearing everything, right? And we were seeing everything in like very, I would say like a birdie perspective. And it was very comfortable. There was not many people up there, and so it was very nice. You could sit really like 5 seats around you. You could really try to choose. And that was a cool experience because you would see how fans would react upon making scoring points, and you would see how fans what they would use, the sounds, da 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 da, da, for NBA. And yeah, it was a cool experience to see what the Americans are up to, because NBA and NFL, NHL are really the sports that are truly for the Americans. And Europe is now catching on with NHL Germany or Europe, right? Or hockey. There's like huge hockey league also for Europe, but mostly football, American football. We just have soccer type of, yeah. And so going there and seeing this place in this cold after winter, but still being able to like have all these activities inside, really it gives me the lesson too, is for language learning and even for activities. Once it's cold, you want to meet with people inside and you want to have activities inside. And that's why my student is now excelling her German by doing activities with her friends and family, and cooking activities and loving the activities to boost her language fluency. And she does them inside, right? Because it is so cold outside right now. So she does them inside. And that's what thousands of Canadians are doing every single day. They are having these arenas inside, and they are enjoying sports, and they are enjoying all sorts of stuff inside, okay? And here's same, in Bangkok right now is winter, but the sun is shining, and so we're going inside to get the air-conditioned rooms and to get the, yeah, right? So this is what, yeah, Canada really inspired to, is to bring stuff inside and to host, yeah, to look after your house and to look that everything is comfortable for you to host things inside and to invite guests inside and to have a tea or to have a meal together, right? And then the last lesson, so we're gonna keep this to 5 minutes more. Thank you for being on. I want to invite you inside the Multilingual Premium Chat. It's a daily routine with a monthly subscription for language acceleration before 2025 and throughout 2025. It starts officially on January 1st, potentially with all the world enrolled. So lesson number 3. So specifically about cultures in Canada and also the language use. So we were at one hotel where there was a waitress, and she would use one specific language that would make the Italian team very, very excited, which would be, sounds good, you know? So we were asking for seven bottles of water, and then they said they would have them, so they would say, sounds good, right? So after she left with that, like the Italians would look at each other and they would be like, whoa, she sounds good, that sounds cool, right? Sounds good. And then they would use it. And it's so exciting how just a couple of phrases that you understand and yeah, now you know how to use, that make you so excited, make you so proficient right away. Because now in these people, like maybe 5 years ago, when I would come up with those same strategies, they would kind of be like, hey, like keep them to yourself, don't talk about this, we're speaking Italian here. But now the stuff has changed, and now speaking languages is just like a huge gift that everyone in this community of badminton back then had. And these people now are like proficient in Spanish as well as in English as well as in other languages. Why? Because they see the importance of languages. And so I'm glad that I got to be a pioneer early on. And we're talking about like these little phrases that make you sound native. In Dominican it would be que lo que, in Cuban it would be cubano, cubano, or like like this kind of speech. So this is the kind of accent and sounds that you can learn really in the first weeks of apprentice. And this is when you get very clear about your goal, about where you want to use that language, in which ambience and with what people, as well together as with with what vocabulary, around what scenario, And what type of the language you want to brief? Like what do you want to know in your brain? What do you want to see yourself saying? Yeah, what impact do you want to make? And if you have those things, even just like one word for each thing I've said right now, if this is clear, then you'll be very clear from now on, and you can just go into your language studies with your intuition, because you will by nature just want to pick out the things that are useful for you and your ambience. Yeah, and so I will leave you with lesson 3. This was together for Canada. We were talking about excuse me. So lesson 1 would be Canada. Lesson 2 would be inside. Lesson 3 was those phrases, and lesson 1 was the cultural mix, and that you can make the best out of the best. You can make the best from what you have inside your roots, and you make the best out of your environment and make it a huge project. And so this was Canada. Canada was really an inspiring place to go, and I have made some connections there, and I have talked to people there, and I've worked with people there, and it was all very hardworking and very understanding, and all of them were bilingual. And so going to the Canadian airport, we would land in Montreux, and people there had a funny English accent, but they would speak French. And so this was very interesting, right? All right, let's go on. This was Canada, and I'm currently also working with my student Canadienne Française. So this was very interesting to hear about her story about Canada, but also her process inside of the Multilingual Premium Chats. So let's do this up. Oh my God. Okay, this was the Cultures Unpacked, and now we're going to go on the Multilingual Chat, where we're going to talk about more about these phrases that really make you easily understood and start conversations in the beginning level. Okay, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing, liking, and subscribing, joining the Multilingual Premium Chat. I'm so excited to work together with you. The first 5 days are in the house.